Hello. I've been wanting to do a video for a while about high altitude incubation and improving your hatch rate at high altitude and in the desert. Also, I want to cover helping your chickens survive the desert heat and making them more comfortable. So I had a little bit of a break here. So I decided to go ahead and do it. I've got my two little Appenzeller Spitzhauben chickens. I think they're turning out to be roosters, but I'm not quite sure. They're about 3 months old, and they usually start laying at about 5 months old. So just by the way these two are acting, I think that they're roosters, but I can't really tell you for sure. Anyway, everyone wants to improve their hatch rate, especially with shipped eggs, and maybe you've got eggs from a hatchery or you're hatching your own eggs. Anyway, you might want to listen on and see if there's any hints you can pick up. And I'll be covering a lot of information about what goes on in their bodies at high altitudes. So stay tuned, and I'll put these guys away so I can concentrate on what I'm talking about. Okay, I got these at Home Depot for about 45 cents each. I got 10 of them. What you want to do to keep your chickens cool is soak the bricks for, I don't know, a couple of hours in a tub of cool water. Make sure that they're all covered. And once that's done, I got 5 of these at the dollar store. Put a couple of these soaked bricks inside the tub. Fill the tub halfway with water and put it in the chicken coop. And the chickens will sit on the, or stand on the wet bricks, and it keeps them a lot cooler than they would normally in this 100+ degree heat. It'll stop them from panting, and they'll just be a lot more comfortable, and it's a good, cheap way of doing it. I find that it works a lot better than misters, because misters tend to just drench everything, and including their bedding, and make everything smelly, which you don't want on a hot summer's day. You can use them in other shady places in your yard for your free-ranging chickens, so that they can go under them as needed and keep cool and comfortable. Alternately, as I mentioned, you can use one of these orbit systems. It attaches to a garden hose, and it has clips to clip on to branches of your tree or the overhang of your patio. And it has these little nozzles that spray out a fine mist. The only thing is, with our hard water, these little nozzles can get clogged up and they won't spray out anymore. What you can do is soak them in a solution of vinegar and water, and that will free up some of the calcification. And I believe they do sell replace parts for these misters. But I got this online for about $7. So it's a inexpensive way. You don't want to put it in areas where you have a lot of bedding or where birds are eating. And with the ducks, they're water birds or waterfowl, and I just go out and mist them with the hose every so often. I actually just spray them down, and they love it. And they have their wading pools. They're free range, so they have free access to water all the time. Okay, hatching eggs at high altitudes is a fairly complicated subject. So I hope you guys don't mind that I have some notes to look at while I'm talking to you, so I don't miss anything. So let's get right into it. First of all, hatchability of eggs at 1,000 feet in altitude and above is affected by 10%. And it goes up to 30% at 7,000 feet. There's three main factors for that: reduced oxygen, loss of carbon dioxide at high levels, and dehydration. So I think I talked about this before, that when you have shipped eggs or eggs that you're holding for a while before you incubate them, you want to make sure that you keep them in a nice, humid, cool, humid place, like underneath your bathroom sink or your kitchen sink. And I use a little personal humidifier. I showed you guys this before. I don't have the little reservoir attached to it right now, but it has a USB cable, and you fill the little reservoir with water, and a little plume of mist comes out of this opening right here after you press the on button, and it'll work for about 2 hours before you have to go in and turn it on again. It'll shut off automatically. But it works pretty good if you're holding your eggs for, I don't know, a couple of days before you're going to incubate them. And I just make sure that the room where I'm incubating the eggs is also fairly humid, and I'll also put the little personal humidifier in the room with the incubator and close the door. So if you want to improve your hatch rates, you can decrease your incubator temperature by about ½ a degree, and open up the vents. If you have a still air incubator, open up the vent holes, both of them, to make sure that the oxygen can get in, because one of the main reasons, as I mentioned before, is reduced oxygen levels at high altitudes. You want to wash your eggs before setting them. I know that goes against what a lot of people are telling you, because it'll remove the bloom, but the bloom is partly what keeps the oxygen from going in and out of the shells easily. So by washing the eggshells, you're going to increase the permeability of the eggshells, and thus allowing the oxygen and CO2 to flow freely in and out. You'll want to be extra vigilant about washing your hands when you handle the eggs, because removing the bloom, of course, will increase the chance of bacterial contamination and also moisture loss. But if you've got that humidifier going in your incubator room, that should help with that. Also, you want to make sure your incubator is scrubbed clean and disinfected with water and bleach solution. Make sure it's fairly weak bleach solution, I only use a couple of tablespoons per gallon and rinse it out really well between hatches. I also mist my incubator with a 50-50 solution of Listerine and water to make sure that most of the bacteria is killed. Also, if you have one of those plastic or styrofoam incubators, you can set it out in the sun on your porch and the UV rays will kill most of the leftover bacteria. High altitude incubation can also affect field growth by as much as 45% if the hens that produce the eggs are kept at sea level. If the hens come from chickens that you keep yourself or chickens that are kept at high altitudes, this can only be about 22%, so it reduces that risk by more than half. So you want to buy your eggs locally or hatch your own eggs, or make sure that the hatchery where you're getting your eggs is located at high altitude or an altitude similar to your own. Okay, the way this works is that the chicks inherit the hen's ability to adapt to lower oxygen levels. After hatching, the eggs may have a lower growth rate because of lower temperatures at high altitudes. This makes the chicks metabolize their food faster, which requires more oxygen, which is already in short supply, and it will also affect the chick health in terms of immunity and energy levels. I'm going to take a break now and get some water. Okay, that's better. It's about 103 degrees today and I've been drinking gallons of water since I moved here. I don't think I've ever drank so much water. And as I mentioned earlier, I wasn't really feeling so hot today. I had to drive out to the hardware store to pick up my roofing materials, and it's an hour drive out there and an hour drive back in the heat, and after that, the next day, I can really feel it. It takes a lot out of you, the dehydration, so I can really relate to how the heat and the humidity, low humidity, affects the way chicks grow and their hatch rate. So let's get back into it. We were talking about chick health and how it's affected by high altitude. They may have a lower growth rate because of the lower temperatures at high altitudes, because this makes the chicks metabolize their food faster, and that requires more oxygen, which is already in short supply. It also affects their health in terms of immunity and energy levels. Low oxygen can cause heart and lung problems, and you can help prevent this by providing better ventilation in the brooding area and with the humidifier. That will improve the humidity, and they're less likely to be susceptible to diseases, respiratory and otherwise. They may develop mouth and nose irritation and dry and itchy skin because of low humidity. Chicks adapt to high altitude in several ways. Chicks develop higher blood cell counts. I'm going to try and get my dogs to be quiet. Hang on just a sec. I'm really glad that I have my dogs. They're livestock guardian dogs, but they will bark at the slightest little noise because they think that anything is coming to attack us, and they're not quite used to this neighborhood yet, and there's a lot more noise here than where we were living before. So anyway, what were we talking about? Chickens adapting to the high altitude. They develop the higher red blood cell counts and hemoglobin, and this improves their ability to survive at lower oxygen levels. So you want to make sure that you incubate eggs from your own hens so that they've already inherited the ability to survive at lower oxygen levels, or you can obtain your eggs locally or from a hatchery that is at high altitude or an altitude that's similar to your own. Okay, so there's also a condition that the chicks can develop called acidosis that is caused by hyperventilation. There are several chicken breeds that have been developed at high altitudes, similar to my Appenzeller Spitzhauben that I've chosen to breed lately. They were developed in the Alpine region of Switzerland, so they've inherited the genes or the mutation that allows them to use less oxygen or metabolize their food better. Okay, now let's talk about improving your chick health by supplementing their diet. You can supplement their diet with antioxidants like vitamin E, which helps them with the stress related to low oxygen and in the increased UV rays and high metabolism. It also improves their feed intake. And their ability to utilize nutrients, especially in protein, and it improves their blood producing organs. So we've all been concerned when we have a weak chick and one that appears sleepy. They all appear sleepy, but you can improve their energy levels with vitamins. B vitamins especially, just like humans. The B vitamins you want to use to supplement are thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. So check to make sure that your feed includes these nutrients or B vitamins, and if it doesn't, you can supplement them. Just like with the niacin that you use for ducklings when they have problems with their legs, you supplement them with niacin, and I just buy it, sometimes I'll buy it in bulk, I'll buy it online or at the health food store, the non-flush type. If it comes in tablet form, you can crush it and add it to their drinking water. This is especially common if you're using a homegrown feed. You may not have the right amounts of B vitamins in the feed, or if they're subsisting on mostly forage, you'll want to supplement them. And this is going to help them a lot with their energy levels. Iron is very important in high altitudes, and it should be sourced from animals. Because most feed stores, the brands contain cereals and legumes that contain plant-based iron, and that's poorly absorbed by poultry. You want to have iron, it's called heme iron, and it can only be sourced through animals. So you want to make sure that there are at least 32 milligrams per pound in your feed, and that it includes the daily recommended levels of protein and calories for each stage of growth. So look at the ingredient labels carefully on your feed sacks. You want to make sure that it includes fish, meat, or bone meal, and that will make sure that your iron is sourced from animals and includes the heme iron. I use a multivitamin, let's see what you have left me. I had the bottle, but anyway, I use a multivitamin. It's a liquid multivitamin called Wild Harvest Multi-Drops. It's available online. It's fairly inexpensive, and the dose is 1 drop per adult bird per day in their drinking water. So I'll cut that down to 1 drop for 4 hatchlings, and that I'll make sure by doing that I'm not overdosing them, because I refill the water several times a day, and I only dose them with the vitamins once in the morning. That you definitely don't want to overdose them with the vitamins. I include a lot of other things, or not a lot of other things, but apple cider vinegar, the organic unfiltered type with the mother, that will improve their digestive health. So anyway, I think that includes just about it. I know that a lot of people are concerned when they spend a lot of money on eggs. You might order them online and have them shipped to you, and none of them hatch. So now you know why. It's harder at high altitudes, and it's harder once they do hatch to keep those hatchlings strong and healthy, and from succumbing to diseases like coccidia or other respiratory diseases that you want to look out for. Make sure you're supplementing the chicks with the right amount of vitamins and minerals. Anyway, that's about it. I decided to record a video today. I was going to work on the roof, but I just wasn't feeling up to it. I think tomorrow I'll start doing that, and you'll see the update to that, how the roof coating went, and laying down the polyester on the elastomeric coating. Anyway, stay tuned, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching High Desert Living. Okay, here's all my stuff for my big roofing job. After I patch the worst parts or the worst holes, I'm going to coat it with Elastomeric roof coating. I chose this brand. It has a 7-year warranty if you use it with the polyester fabric that they also make. So what you do is you paint a coating of the elastomeric paint down on your roof after cleaning it, of course, and then you put down the polyester, and then you paint over it and let it dry. I'm not sure how long the curing time is, but I think they said you should have several days of dry weather, which we should be having in the next few days, before it's completely waterproof. I've chosen this as an applicator, but I think I'm going to have to get a roller, because most of the demonstrations I've seen are using a roller. This stuff is fairly pricey. I got it in 5-gallon containers, and these are really heavy, so make sure you have someone to help you bring it out to your car. You can also buy it online. This polyester fabric, I got a roll of it for about $125. It's 40 inches by 324 feet. So I figured it will be enough to cover the worst parts of the roof or the parts that need it. I spent a long time measuring the roof and the holes and figuring out how to cut it and place it. So there you go. I'm not really feeling well enough today to do the job. You have to get up really early to beat the heat out here. This is the next part of the project, the rain barrel that I'll be using once I get the rain gutters up. I bought this at the feed store. It was on sale for about $35, but you can get them online used for a lot more or a lot less, like on Craigslist. But anyway, once I get the roof done and the gutters up, I should be able to be in business for rain catchment.